There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM. With even more exclusive content, with over 150 channels in your vehicle, including the widest, deepest variety of music, ad-free. Root for your team. Get news. Listen to whatever makes you laugh. And hear all about your favorite stars. Your Platinum Plan offer includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels filled with music and enjoy a favorite shows with SiriusXM Video. Thousands of hours of shows and performances on demand. What you love is on now.
Born in the competition lanes of sound car audio competition and evolved into one of the premier car audio brands on the planet, JL Audio certainly belongs in this month's discussion of audiophile grade sound. We've got Steve Turrisi all to myself today, and we're going to go deep on all the high-end components that make JL Audio audiophile grade. This is CMA Connected, presented by SiriusXM, JL Audio. And it starts now. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another CMA Connected, presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu, and I hope you are ready to geek out with me for the next 60 minutes or so, because we are in studio today with a really important brand, a brand that is followed and adored by so many, and we're going to get the scoop. You know, we're talking about audiophile grade all month long, and JL Audio makes different components in different categories. Of course, they have amplifiers. Of course, they have speakers. Yes, they have, of course, subwoofers and OEM integration and DSP. And I think we're going to cover it all, because what we want to learn about today is what makes JL Audio audiophile grade. And we're going to get that from the horse's mouth, as we say, because we have the perfect guest to join us today. His name is, of course, Steve Turrisi, and he's the Vice President of Technical Services for JL Audio.
What's going on, Ben?
Steve, I'm not going to lie. If I was telling you I wasn't really looking forward to this one, man, you know, we spent some great time together getting deep on, you know, Macs and VXI amps and DSP and all that type stuff. Mm-hmm. But this month I'm having fun. I'm nerding out because we get to talk about high-end stuff. And it's kind of, I'm not going to lie, I think everybody knows, it's kind of what makes me crank. It's kind of what got me into car audio to begin with. I don't know if you share the same sentiments.
I do, actually. You know, when you were just sharing that just a moment ago, I remember, like, when I was in high school, which is a long time ago, before the world had color. And I remember sitting next to this guy in my homeroom, and he was thumbing through a magazine, and I was thumbing through my magazine. I looked over, and it was a Audiophile magazine. And it was, you know, home audio back in the day, because car audio back then was really nothing, right? There was no car audio to speak of at that particular time. And that we had this fast friendship, and, you know, we always geeked out. We would always go and look for the most expensive home audio speakers. And, yeah, that's what I want. We had no idea what it did, but it was really expensive, so it had to be good, right? But, you know, that geeking out over the high end stuff, I think it's what drives most of us. Certainly drove me into the business, and obviously it did you as well. And, you know, I can tell you the team here, most of us, if not all of us, had that huge passion for the true high end and the best that you know we could possibly get, and you know, that's us.
You know, that pursuit for the ultimate, you know, refined sound. It's a lifelong quest. You know, I know that the team at JL Audio has made it, you know, their lifelong quest, obviously, and through the different iterations and evolution and introduction of new technology and everything that's happened in your timeline. I was kind of really hoping that you and I today could kind of visit that lineage a little bit and take a closer look at, you know, how JL Audio got to where it is today, and to remind, you know, those tuning in that, man, it's all about the sound.
Yeah.
Top to bottom.
100%. And I appreciate in your lead into our discussion today, you referred to our history, and we come from the sound quality lanes. That's where the JL Audio, specifically the mobile audio brand, you know, got its birth. And actually, Lucio, the L from JL Audio, the founder and CEO of the company, and chief engineer for that matter, he saw that as an opportunity to launch his brand. The truth is, the company was founded in the mid 70s, and we did a lot of like DJ stuff, like DJ racks and stuff, and the bass bins and things of that nature. And we tinkered around with some home audio stuff in the early days. But Lou was actually developing drivers all throughout that, finding what worked well, what didn't work well, and he was using his retail store, Speaker Warehouse, which is where I got my start. He was using that as kind of a test bed for different types of speaker designs. And in the earliest days of audio, certainly down here in South Florida, it was really common to take like Pro Sound stuff like Gauss and JBL product and put them in hideously large enclosures, effectively infinite baffle, but you had to seal stuff off because it would break otherwise. And it was really, really loud, but it wasn't really refined. It didn't actually get really deep. So he actually was working on developing drivers that would work in boxes that would fit in cars, go figure, and make really great performance. And that's kind of where the beginnings of JL Audio came. And when the sound quality competition started in the mid to late 80s, he saw that as an opportunity to show the world what he had done. And, I guess, as I say, the rest is history. We did really well. And, Lou actually, I mentioned to you earlier, I was looking for the trophy. He took home the first and only Best of Show from an IASCA World Finals with his Mustang. And I think we have images of that we can bring up in a bit if you want.
Let me tell you, do we ever have some images we're going to share, you guys? You're in for a treat today. We're doing stuff, normally, we'll cover product and of course we do that, but this one's going to be a little bit more special. This is a really cool one. If you're a buff of car audio in general, we're going to cover some stuff that really going to put a smile on your face. So I want to put a little bit of my insight into my history with JL Audio. I remember as a young enthusiast visiting, the IASCA competitions and so on. In fact, Dave Singh, who from Gemsen, who couldn't be with us here with us today, but I know is watching. That's where I met him. Was actually at. He doesn't remember this, by the way. If you ask him, he's like, "No, I don't remember this," but I do remember meeting him. It was at an IASCA event in Toronto, and that was the first time I had heard a JL Audio sub setup. And it was the classic 1010 setup.
Oh, yes. Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? I think everybody knows what I'm talking about. But I seen this truck, and he was waiting in the lanes. It was a 300ZX champagne color. He had image dynamic horns under the dash with 8-inch drivers in the door. Okay. And he had this wicked setup that I had never seen before. And it was 3 10-inch subwoofers in a triangle formation. And it said JL Audio. And I'm like, what the heck are these? Blown away. So that was my first kind of glimpse into what JL Audio would be about.
That's awesome. That's a great story. And I remember those days with very, very fond memories. It was a lot of fun. I mean, some of the hours that we spent at the IASCA tweaking tunes, as we call them, which was an area, for those that don't know, that a lot of the manufacturers were setting up to help dial in that last bit of performance before the competitors.
It's like a pit area.
It was like a pit area where we could do modifications and upgrades as needed, and very often troubleshooting problems that miraculously showed up on the way to the event. So there was a lot of that. But the look on people's faces when you open up the back of a car and you just see this system that's just beyond words. It still gets me going when people reveal what's behind a panel. It's like, wow, that's incredible. So,
as you say that, let's go ahead and let's bring back this little photo album here. I thought we'd have some fun with. So talk us through what we're looking at here, Steve.
So what you're looking at here is the back end of Manville Smith's car. Back in the day, he actually took home the top prize in the 251 to 500 class at the IASCA finals with this car. And what you're looking at is that panel that's kind of raised up a little bit. That would reveal the amplifiers that were concealed underneath. And there was actually 4 isobaric groups of JL Audio 8-inch drivers in the back end. And that's the first car I ever listened to that had JL Audio in it. And I was like, oh my God. But there was 8 8-inch subwoofers. I don't have that kind of budget.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And let's remember, folks, those young guys tuning in, like, these parts were not cheap. Like, I mean, the cost per watt back in 1989, let's say, totally different world. But anyhow, and I'm just a wiring, like that gauge wiring back then was very expensive.
Yeah, you'd have to sell part of your car just to get it. Right?
That's right. Well, so that's Manville's car. That's his competition car.
I'm pretty sure that's Manville leaning over with the hat, kind of talking to the 2 judges there about what he's got going on back there.
Somebody needs to play him for Halloween this year.
Yeah, right.
All right, let's keep going.
This is Lucio's car. He brought it out there, and what this may be hard for some of our younger viewers to appreciate, but there was only a single amplifier in this car. And it was this car competed in the 0 to 100, 1 to 100 watt power category. Single amplifier, 4 8-inch drivers in a ported enclosure, and I forget how many other speakers, all run off of that single amplifier. Lou actually wired up the passive crossover network on the flight out to the show to the final modifications. You can't do that today, mind you, because if you brought all those parts on a plane, you'd probably get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
So looking at the previous image in this, it reminds me of some of the concerns that the team faced when they were building these cars to go out to the world finals, this stage that was larger than life. And we were intimidated. We had heard rumors about what other places around the country were doing with their installations and how they were eking out performance and cosmetics. So Lou's like, you know what? Let's use some cool materials. We'll use perspex or plexiglass. We're going to use vinyl. We're going to use lighting and motorization and show them what we can do. And we went out there and everyone's like, they had never seen anything on this level. And we were like really relieved because we were really concerned that we would be outclassed. 5 or 6 trophies later, including the best of show, clearly we weren't outclassed. And sound quality was the driving force behind all of it. And, we're very fortunate that Lou and the team of engineers that we had were able to get us where we needed to be with some of those.
So at this point in the game, was there a full-out catalog JL Audio product available to dealers?
Yeah, there was a catalog. Before we got started, I was looking for some of my old brochures, and the catalog was like a fold over, like 2 pages, right? And that was about it.
Yep.
So we had a handful of subwoofers. This is way before the triple W6s. So what you're looking at there, I believe, are 8W3s, not the ones that you would know today. A very different product. We had a couple of component speakers even back then. The 5CS3 or 5CS1, and Dave remembers those. We had those oval shaped tweeters that everyone just loved to try to install.
Because they were perfectly installer friendly, I guess.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And was there any terminal tackle? I seem to remember there's some terminal tackle as well that you got, not tackle, but gear, like fuses or anything of that nature. Was there not a more complete offering?
No, back in the day, we were very focused on the subwoofers. We had some component speakers, and we had some enclosures for the subwoofers, including some early products called a smart box, and of course the stealth box.
So the stealth box dates back to that era. Okay,
pretty early on. Like when Lou was building this car, he had some ideas on what to do with fiberglass to make some more concealed enclosures, and we implemented a lot of fiberglass construction in the cars that we did back then. But the fiberglass stealth boxes really were born. The first one was from Lou's Mustang, that particular car right there. And that I saw something on the forum this morning actually that showed the original one with a 10W5 that was in there in a ported box, and it was pretty cool. But yeah, in the early days, the offering was fairly compact, and of course, as we've gotten older and developed more product, we've kind of diversified and put engineering effort into lots of different things. Back then, there was a lot of collaboration. You'll see there's precision power amplifiers were used quite heavily back then. That's Manville's car again. And you can see the other side from where the judges were looking. That's what they were looking at, those 4 isobaric groups, which are just the coolest thing ever, if you ask me.
What was the vehicle, Steve?
It was a Celica, I believe.
Okay, it was a Celica.
Yeah, but again, it's a long time ago.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So yeah, that was cool.
What are the amplifiers we see there? Just curious.
Those are precision power.
Those are PPIs?
Their Pro Moss series. Jeff Schoon was in charge of that company, and his main engineer was Bruce McMillan, aka BMAC. Fast forward to today, Jeff Schoon heads up our electronics division. He's our executive VP out in Phoenix, and BMAC is still on team making JL Audio products now.
Imagine that. That was a glimpse. That was a glimpse of what to happen here.
Without a doubt. And what you can't see in a lot of these images are the main speakers in most of these cars. Almost all of them had MB Court product, and Andy Oxenhorn at that time was in charge of MB Court. And of course, for those that don't know, Andy Oxenhorn is now the president of JL Audio. So we used to call them the Three Amigos. It was Jeff, Andy, and Lucio, the Three Amigos, and now the Three Amigos are all together in one place, which I think is important, for our history. Today's conversations about audiophile grade. Well, we had, the premier component company. The president of that is now our president. The premier amplifier line, the guy in charge of that is now in charge of our electronics. And of course, Lucio and our team of engineers here, they've been making drivers since, day one. So having all 3 in one house is pretty special.
It's pretty darn special. And that just so you guys, if you guys didn't know, was the winning combo for many,
Yes, it
many
was.
years. For
And
many,
the
many
wires
years.
that you mentioned there were street wires, and it's there's some people who are affiliated with that brand that had come over, and they kind of work with us as well. So it's
Absolutely.
the man, the myth, the legend. That's Lucio himself, proudly standing by his Mustang. That's obviously down here in Florida. You could tell by the flat and swampiness. So
And the license plate.
I don't think it was anything special.
Okay. So I mean, this is the car that went on that you mentioned that won the world championship.
Yes, and it was in fact that car, and he had
that should be in like in the entrance welcome reception area of jail head office.
Don't get me started, Ben. It should be. Obviously, the car is gone, but all the images and some of the original product concepts, we should definitely highlight.
Should rebuild it. That's the new project for 2023. Rebuild an icon.
That would be an interesting undertaking for sure.
Right? Would that be not cool? Man, that'd be sick. Okay. I'm just throwing ideas at you. All right, here we go. The next one. Oh,
this is
hardware.
This is an iconic picture. I can't read the plaques on there, and I doubt anyone else can too. Again, it's the 80s. Digital photography really didn't exist. So
no, this is film, folks. Film. Yeah.
So everyone in that picture was instrumental in getting our brand off the ground, so to speak. I'm going to start from Gary, the second from left. You could tell it's old because you got the shiny silver jackets on there. So this is clearly the 80s in Miami, right? But if you want to know who built JL Audio, quite literally, Gary did. Gary was responsible for the vast majority of the construction of the demo vehicles that we have put together. He is by far the best fabricator I have ever worked with in my life. And most people out there don't know who he is because he's just a guy behind the scenes, and he just does an amazing job. Proud to say that he's still part of our team, and he helps with our VSR&D, our vehicle-specific research and development, and he's helping train the new generation of fabricators here at JL Audio. So instrumental in bringing us to where we are and continues to contribute today. And then, of course, Lucio, standing to his left with a big smile right in front of his beautiful wife, Maria. I wanted to make sure everyone knew who Maria was, because without Maria, there's no way Lou could have done all this. So she actually was the one answering phone calls and taking dealer support calls in the early days, and helping manage the very little cash flow that we actually had back in the early days while Lou was mad scientist behind the scenes there. I'm going to jump over. I'm going to skip Tim, the guy in the pink shirt, and go to Harry Lord, the guy with rocking that mustache and the green shirt in the center. Harry Lord was one of our customers at the time at Speaker Warehouse, and he had a vehicle built to compete in the sound quality lanes. And I wanted to point him out because soon after this image was taken, he came on board and was working in our shipping department here at JL Audio, and went on to manage our production team for fiberglass and woodshop, and he remains in that position today. So this is a lot of history here. Most of our viewers will know the next person, but they will not recognize him. The guy in the glasses next to Harry, to his left, our viewer to the right, that's Manville Smith.
Wow.
Yeah, he's he's kind of transformed over the years. He's had several different looks, and this one's pretty iconic if you ask me. You can see he's got a Speaker Warehouse shirt on it, and he was the manager of that store when I met him and saw his car. So that's Manville, and for those that don't know, he's our senior VP of marketing and my boss, so we like him. I'll skip Adolfo, and I'll spend a moment talking about Alan, the other rockin' mustache there, kind of tucked in the back. Alan is he's so instrumental in the success of JL Audio. In the early day, he was our very first salesperson that we ever had, and he was charged with the unenviable task of going to various different retailers. He was a retailer, and he was tasked with going to other retailers with a speaker that no one had ever heard of, that didn't even have a logo on it. And he was carrying a binder that looked like this one.
Oh, by the way, guys, just so you know, Steve is prepared for this show. There's props all around him. That's going to be great.
It looked like this, and this was a reference manual. The one he had was a blue version of this. I don't have one readily available.
Let's see that again. Can you show that real quick?
It's a reference manual.
Okay.
And inside this book was a bunch of technical data on how to sell subwoofers effectively. And no one ever heard of this brand that he was pitching. So he went in there with this and a brandless subwoofer, so to speak, and hey, try this. It's really, really good. Trust me, right? We all know what that means, right? But people did, and they listened to him, and our brand grew. Fast forward a number of years, when we got into marine audio, we said, hey, Alan, you up for the challenge? He said, yeah. And he went out with the JL Audio marine product. And if anyone's paying attention to marine audio, that that's worked out pretty well for us as well.
I would say, I would definitely say, yeah.
You know, Alan today remains a key member of our staff. He's senior VP of strategic planning and partnership. I don't even know. The titles get kind of weird here, but I wanted to share this image with you because the history of JL Audio was founded in this image, the winning ways and the competition lanes, and the core people that did that are still here today and helping grow a new team of people to bring it forward even further. So that history in a nutshell right there. So
amazing. That is something so important and so unique. I'll be honest, so unique to the JL Audio story.
No doubt, no doubt. This is the back end of one of those cars. Yeah, that was pretty cool. There's those tiny little amplifiers. I think this was this Ariel's car, I think, which is one of the managers of the speaker warehouse chain that was active back then. That panel where you see those amplifiers that would actually motorize down and reveal the subwoofers behind it, I think, if I remember right. It's a long time ago, man.
It's funny, that form factor there was so popular for the amplifiers, but it probably only had 2x20 or 2x30 watts. You know what I mean?
I think that's what they were, 2x30.
That's probably, you know, we all owned those. We saved up to buy them, but
exactly.
Check out that JL Audio logo. That's all.
It's rocking the old school for sure.
Old school for sure.
Just for the record, this is before Manville got involved and cleaned it all up.
Fair enough. So okay, there you go. That's the same vehicle, right?
It's the same vehicle. It's folded down and it motorized out. Concord CD changer. CDs are these round silver things that we used to play music on, right?
Yes, correct.
If you wanted to stream audio from something, that's what you streamed it from.
Yep, correct. Absolutely.
And you can see the JL subwoofers in the perspex there, so it's cool.
Oh, I miss these old school builds, man. It's so nostalgic seeing that.
Yes, me too.
Oh man. All right, let's keep this rolling. What else we got here? Ooh,
so this go forward a little bit. A little history on what this is the JL Audio Mini. And it was mini in size, but
that's a mini. I'm sorry, I thought that was a Fiat. Okay, that's a mini.
No, it's a mini.
Okay, yeah.
So that's that triple of 10W6s that you had mentioned earlier, Ben. And you could see the precision power amplifiers. You'll notice in the bottom center area, you'll see some JL Audio logos. Those are passive crossover networks for the JL Audio component speakers. So I'll give you a little insight as to why we chose a mini. Well, there was really two reasons, sort of three. You know, Lou's a car guy. He was really interested in, you know, cool looking cars. And the Mini Cooper was an iconic car from England, of course. This is a right-hand drive car. And we wanted a car that he could customize and had certain dimensions to it. And one dimension that was important was it's small enough to fit in a 10x10 booth, because we didn't have any money for a bigger booth. So we had to get a car that can fit.
Never even thought of that angle. Okay.
Yeah. So what he did on this, and Lou's hands are all over this, and it's, in my opinion, it's one of the most amazing demo vehicles ever. And you could argue that maybe there was some better imaging cars, or maybe some, you know, different performance aspects of this or that. But when it came to just a visceral, fun audio experience, this car exemplified that. It was like people would line up like a roller coaster ride just to get in and enjoy the sound of this car. And to me, that's what it's all about. So, you know, the 310s there, it was a combination of a sealed and a ported box, and there was a flapper valve that would open up and seal it, or open it up into a ported chamber. And of course, the ported one would just shake everything. It was awesome.
Yep.
And the car was rock solid. If you rapped on it, it was like hitting cement. It was incredible. Transporting it was a lot of fun because it weighed so darn much from not only the audio, but all the damping material that was throughout the whole thing. And one thing
what year is this? What year are we talking about now?
The car, I think, was a 1962. And I think the year for that demo, for when that came out, oh man, we'll be disappointed. I don't remember. 92, maybe?
Okay, like early 90s. Okay.
Yeah. So whenever the W6s came out, that was the launch vehicle for it. So yeah, that's a heck of a vehicle. We had a couple of versions of it, but you know, my fondness for this one goes deep. It's an awesome, very impressive car.
So we actually have Dave kind of in the background here helping us with the story that we're telling today. And he just wrote, this vehicle was so small that Gemsen shipped this to Canada on a special skid once.
Yep.
To Audio Thunder. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, that's how we could transport it. And there was one year that we sent it out to Las Vegas for the trade show, CES out there, that would happen out there. And we had labeled, we put a crate around it, right? And we labeled forklift on this end because the back end
right.
had
The
all
back end was
weight,
the heavy part, right?
and they ignored it, right?
Oh no.
So they picked up the other end, and when they came back, when they went to go out, it tipped the forklift forward and banged the car on the ground,
Of course,
and of course damaged the car. So I'm sure Dave would want me to tell anyone this, but every single time that car left our facility, it got damaged in some way.
I'm sure it did. I'm sure it did.
It was cursed.
I feel like we just fast forwarded in time a little bit here.
We did. So this is an image of some of the testing that goes on our production line, and that's a W7, of course, that you're looking at there with some of the fixturing that we use. And actually, that's not testing; that's actually production that's happening there. It's a pretty cool image. That line has been updated a little bit since that image has been taken, but the W7 is an amazing product. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go forward today.
All right. Just a couple more images here. Oh, look at that.
So that's Lou again, obviously, a more recent picture of Lou.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to call this out for everybody. So, Lou is the CEO and founder of JL Audio. He's the head engineer, and he is the driving force that gets all of us excited to get out of bed every day and do what we do. There is no doubt about that. And throughout the years, that's afforded him a nice life. He lives very comfortably. And the car that you see him buy is a PT Cruiser, and that was his daily driver. Think about that for a second. CEO, founder of JL Audio, driving a PT Cruiser. And if you notice the subwoofers that are in there, that's some of our entry-level subwoofers that he's listening to in his car, because that's where our customers are going to listen to it. In cars, not too different from that one. The style of that car is like a medium form factor in terms of its physical size. There's smaller cars and there's larger cars. So he picked one in the middle. And all of our product development would go through cars like that, him listening with our team of engineers, developing product for the real world. Product that works in cars and performs at an incredibly high level. So there's no magic to it here, really. It's just really rock solid engineering and paying attention to the details. And I want people to see that that's Lou. That's how we still are to this day. We're actively listening to product in cars, making sure we're getting what we want. So it's pretty cool.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Who's this guy?
I don't know. He's got to be my younger brother. I saw that Matt got some of these images together for me, and he put that one in there. I think
so, Steve, how long have you been with the brand?
So I started at Speaker Warehouse, which was owned by Jim and Lucio, the J and the L from JL Audio. They own this retail store, and I started working there in June of 1990. So I've been working for Jim and Lou since June of 1990. The plaque on the wall, I think, says 25 years. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, 25 on that one. I'm due.
Okay. So you bleed JL. There's no doubt about it.
It's often been a point that people make, that if you cut me out, the little JL logos would come out. I can't deny it.
So my question for you here on this image is, you on that computer at that moment in time, did you ever think that you'd be where you are now, where the brand is and where you are with the brand?
I have two answers for that. One is more personal. As a person, I never expected to be where I am today. Being able to contribute at the level that I do for this company is an honor and a privilege that I never expected. I was just a tech guy, and to be in the position I'm at now and being entrusted with some of the things that I'm working on, no, never saw that. However, the other part of my answer is about JL Audio as a brand. Absolutely. When you talk to Lucio, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. When you talk to Lucio and you get his vision for what our company can and will be, every time you talk to him, you come away with an even deeper appreciation to how amazing that man is and how fortunate we all are to have been graced by his guidance. And I know that sounds ridiculous, like it's a cult, and it kind of is. But Lou often would describe our business as a mosaic painting. And if you don't know, a mosaic painting is a large-scale, painting made up of a whole bunch of little paintings that create another image. And he sees this mosaic on the side of the building or whatever. It's like this giant thing. And we all see the giant mosaic and say, wow, that looks really cool. He's like, yeah, but if you look closer, you'll get a better view of the details. And we're all in those little details. We're all those little pieces. And every so often, he'll pull our head back even further and get an even bigger view. And he'll say, okay, now go make that happen. And we do, and we go and make it happen. So Lou has always seen JL Audio, not even where we are today, but where we'll be tomorrow and into the future. So never a doubt in Lou's mind, and as a company, never a doubt. But as an individual, again, just humbled and honored to be able to contribute at the level I do.
Yeah, visionaries have a knack for blowing you away.
He
Because
certainly is.
a visionary is a visionary for a purpose, for a reason. They
And
see
I
it.
will share with you one thing that I think is the most amazing thing about Lucio is not just his engineering prowess and his ability to create an incredible product, but his intelligence that he is not alone in this. Bringing on Andy Oxenhorn and expanding the team, allowing him to focus with engineering and letting Andy take care of the other part of the company, the marketing and sales end of it. Growing his engineering team to today have, 52 or 55 engineers across all different disciplines to help bring our ideas and concepts to market. I mean, there's a lot of really smart people out there, but most of them want to be the cult of personality. Lou is the anti-cult of personality. He doesn't like that we talk about him like this. He wants it to be about the team because the team is really what's executing. And that, for me, that's really great because our future is bright. We have an amazing team that Lou himself handpicked and has put together and has cultivated. So we're in a really good position.
Yeah, I'm still looking at this picture of young Steve. That's pretty cool, dude.
Yeah, let's do the profile, right?
We should recreate that photo. Sorry, let's just go back this. You know what you gotta do? You gotta recreate this photo, Steve. You gotta find a shirt like that, get your new laptop, and update this, but same profile. That'd be super cool.
Oh my gosh, that is an old one.
So let's speak to this picture real quick.
So this is a great opportunity for me to share with those that don't know that that's our production team here. And both those women actually still work with us over in production. And this is an older image. That image is actually about 100 feet away from our engineering team. So our transducer engineers work that closely with our production team, and they actually help set up those production lines to make sure that we can bring the design that they come up with to market the way they anticipated. All the quality control measures, they're all dynamic and always growing and expanding. And I don't know if you know, Ben, but occasionally we do tours for our business partners and friends that are in the area. And I take a lot of pride when I talk about our team that build the product. And, we kid around and, people know my name. They know Manville's name. They know Carlos and, Rob and Matt and a bunch of the faces that go out into the public. And people think that we're JL Audio. We're not. They are. The people that manufacture our product right here in Florida, they're the heart of the company. Without them, we have nothing. So I love that we can actually share this image of our production team here in South Florida, making the products that our engineers here in South Florida have brought to market. And it's just, to me, that's more important than even the history of the company, is the fact that we can do all this here now. And this is all part of what Lou envisioned and more.
Three things I'm going to comment on. This is a big part of the conversation I want to segue to as well. I'm going to go ahead and take this down. Now, number one, you mentioned the tour of the company. I want to reference and give a shout out to Mark at Car Audio Fabrication. He took the time last fall, I believe it was September time, to visit you guys, and he has a whole video on his YouTube channel that literally he does the entire factory walkthrough at JL Audio. So go check that out. I think everybody watching knows who Mark is at Car Audio Fab. Check
he did a spectacular job.
Great job on the video.
Yeah, very impressed with what he put together.
If you haven't seen the JL factory yet, that's a great opportunity to get an up close and personal look at what that's all about. The second comment, we're talking about audiophile grade. We're talking about high-end components. Now, that can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. I asked you, an audiophile is someone who appreciates music. There's many different, I guess, specific definitions of such. I'll speak to myself. I appreciate uncompromising design. I appreciate the lineage, the history, the commitment that the brand puts towards their products. I also appreciate the workmanship and the craftsmanship that goes into said product. And one thing I will say about JL Audio that I can't repeat enough times, man, you guys have some great, amazing products built right here. And that is such a clutch component, and which I feel may be the game-changing decision for many consumers in this level to say, you know what, I have option A and option B. Both fantastic components. They both sound absolutely incredible. Of course, they sound different because no two products sound the same. But what is that value of that product which is made domestically? And I think that is something to discuss.
I think so too. Obviously, we made an enormous investment in our facility here, and even a nice happy family like JL Audio with our 700 plus employees that we have today, there's a struggle internally that we have, and there's I call them the 3 Ps. It's people, parts, and production, and all three are fighting for space. Right? We need a place to put our people. We need a place to put the parts to then produce those parts. And we've been expanding. And today I stand on what's called Miramar 2. So the city is Miramar. Miramar 1 is our main building, which is next door. We originally had about 2/3 of that building. Very soon after, wound up with the entire building, and that's almost entirely production now, and a couple of offices and engineering. And then over here we have our our marketing, tech, and training team is over here. And just recently, the other part of this building we acquired, and that'll be additional production parts and possibly some offices. And what most people don't get to see, because it's about a mile away, is building 3. And building 3 is now where we're putting our finished goods for shipping out to our business partners. But we ran out of room. So, this investment in expanding what we do here to allow for more production, it's a bit of a growing pain, which is humbling to me again, because, we're 40-something years old as a company, and we're experiencing growing pains. These are good problems to have. And Lucio and our whole company is focused on doing as much as we possibly can here. There's lots of benefit to it. The quality control measures, the running changes in production. We have an issue, let's stop it right away, correct it, and get that product back out, but in its better form. If that happens, we could do that much faster and much easier here. There's a lot of benefit to that. The fact that engineering and production are so close, you talked about the construction quality and the craftsmanship. Our engineers designed the product in such a way that we could build it to scale. And I think that's a key component of JL Audio that's very often overlooked. As a company, we've grown in size, of course, and that's very good. And thank you to our customers that put us where we're at. But in order for us to make a quality product that can then fulfill a large volume of people, the design has to scale in production. So the fact that we can make a product like a W7 and fulfill the demand of that product, that says a lot about the design of the product and our ability to make it here. That it doesn't happen anywhere else. You just don't see it. You see high-end product, but you see it on a much lower scale. You can't fill the pipeline unless you build the infrastructure yourself, and we have. And Ben, I don't know if you're into machining of any sort, making metal parts.
Love it.
You would love the machine shop that we have. I mean, no exaggeration, millions of dollars invested in machining, and a lot of people think it's all prototype speakers. And while there are a number of prototype speakers that we make on the machines, most of it is parts and support for production. And by doing it on premises, we can make the fixtures a very specific way and do all of that here. So we have built this vertical integration of a company that we could do so much here. And I appreciate your comments that if you had a choice between product A or product B, and one is made domestically and one is made overseas, that there's a nudge towards the domestic product, as long as the pricing doesn't completely blow you away.
Correct.
And that is a foundational part of who JL Audio is. We very firmly agree, and we'll do everything possible to build as much in this building as we possibly can.
And really, there's very few brands that we can speak to on that level, and JL is one of the very few. And doing it at the scale that you're doing at is nothing short of impressive. And it's quite, to be honest, quite the opposite of what the industry is trending towards, which also kind of makes me go, what has JL figured out that nobody else seems to have been able to figure out? Is, I guess, what makes it intriguing. Let's jump to some product, man. We would be remiss if we didn't jump into some product here. I mean, this buildup of this history, this lineage has gotten us to a point where technology meets engineering, meets fabrication, and problem solving. Because let's be honest, the playing field that we used to play at in the 90s, with easy swap out for radio source units and getting a flat signal. Well, I think we've spent enough time getting dealers to understand, at the very least, that that quest for that flat signal has come with a lot of challenges that we've come up with solutions for. So let's start from there.
Absolutely. So I love the fact that you used the word engineering. I remember when I was early in my career, I was trying to figure out my place in this company, and I was talking with Brett Haynes, who's now our senior, I don't know, he's a high-level engineer. I think he's a VP now. I don't even know. But he was one of our engineers that we hired on early on. And I was trying to figure out my position. And he says, well, effectively, you're an engineer. I'm like, I'm not an engineer. I didn't go to school for this stuff. He's like, no, engineering is solving problems. And as a technical support guy, like I was, I'm solving people's problems. I was like, oh, that's all right. I'll take it.
Yep.
You want to bestow that upon me? I'll go ahead and take it. But everything we do is about engineering. We're solving problems. And the problem that you just mentioned was a critical one. And again, following on the history theme here, back in the day, like in the early days of audio, you would buy a vehicle, a car, a truck, or whatever it is. you'd go to buy an audio system, and one of the first things your shop was likely to recommend to a customer was, we need to change out that radio and get this new Sony or Eclipse or whatever source unit into your gas.
Eclipse, you didn't age yourself,
right? But I remember having these conversations, and then and the reason for that was that the factory source units, for whatever reason, and don't overthink this, but for whatever reason, it just didn't sound as good. So you'd have the best door speakers you could get. You'd have these great amplifiers and a killer subwoofer system and impeccable installation, and it sounded good. But there was more to it, and all of us, we knew it. We knew that we could just grab a little bit more if we could just get that radio out of the dash. And back then it was easy. There was dash kits, wire harnesses. We could swap out radios pretty easily. And then it wasn't easy. And when it became not easy, we started losing business as an industry. Now, bear in mind, with our focus at the time, our core business was sub, speakers, and amps, right? That's our core business. That's where we belonged. And if our retailers were having difficulty conveying the benefit of those products because of these source units, whatever was causing them to not sound good, our business was in jeopardy. So engineering kicks in, solving a problem kicks in, and we came out with a product, DSP-based product called the Clean Sweep. And some people love it, some people don't love it, but know what it was intended to do. Like Ben was saying, we had this factory equalization built in to make cheap little speakers in those vehicles sound better. Not necessarily good, but better for the masses. We're not the masses. We're audiophiles. We want this stuff to sound really great. So when you remove the basic speakers and put in new speakers, all the stuff the EQ was fixing on the old speaker was no longer applicable.
And it sounded worse than many times. It sounded worse. I remember the first time that experience. I don't remember what brand it was. Maybe MB Quartz or something. We had changed the doors. We're so all excited. Turned on the radio, and it, like, all the mids disappeared.
It went away. Yep.
I was like, what the heck? That's not how that's supposed to sound. We didn't know why. We didn't know why. We thought we did something wrong or was out of phase or something stupid like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, just for illustrative purposes, the reason for that was a cheap speaker is often going to have a nasty resonance in the mid-range part of the frequency range that's really offensive to our hearing. So they would cut that mid-range out of that driver because it had too much. You get a good speaker, you put it in a door. Now it has the proper amount of mid-range, but the cut is still applying. So all the mid-range went away.
That's exactly what happened.
There was no defeat button. So I went to the closet and I found this display.
Show that. Zoom in on this, please. Let's go close here. There we go.
So this is the product that we initially launched, the Clean Sweep itself, right? And if you notice, installers pay attention that the only controls you actually had were calibrate and defeat, right?
What year is this?
Oh gosh, I don't even remember. So that was late 90s, mid 90s.
Maybe? Okay.
And I point out the defeat and the calibrate button because installers like to fidget. They like to play around with stuff. The Clean Sweep had one job to do. It took the signal, analyzed the deviation from a flat reference, and applied the inverse. So where there was a boost, they'd apply a cut, the filters, and that's all it did.
It was the yin and yang module.
Right. It didn't care what was going on. It just looked at frequency response. If there was a cut, they would boost it. If it was a boost, they would cut it. So you had a flat, full-range signal on the end, just like an aftermarket radio would have. Looked like you had a question.
I'm wondering, is that the first suite of products that JL came out with that wasn't in the speaker sub amplifier category?
Yes. And it's
Gotcha.
I often kid around, what business did JL Audio have in making an electronic part with DSP in it at a time where we were a sub?
It wasn't even called DSP yet at that point.
It was not our genre. It was not our wheelhouse.
But you knew you had to do something.
We had to
be part of the solution.
We really pioneered a category. We put DSP in a car to function. It's kind of like the Roomba vacuum. That's the first application of a robot that actually helped a human. So this is the first time that I'm aware of that a DSP, an automated DSP program was used to improve the audio system in a vehicle. And we did it out of necessity. Honestly, it was a product that cost our company a lot of money and was met with initially very warm reception until installers got their hands on it. So here's what would happen. They would put it in. It would go through the calibration process, and if those lights on it flickered in a weird way, they wanted to fix it. And the way they would fix it is they'd look for a control or an adjustment on it, and the only adjustment was defeat. So they said, well, it's not working. Might as well just take it out. It's like, no. The reason for most of the issues with it was the signal that went into it wasn't full range. So it was only a high-pass channel, and it failed the calibration because there was no subwoofer. right? So there was no full range signal.
You know what it is? You know what it is, Steve? I hear you talking about it. It's in a way, this was maybe a little bit ahead of its time. Installers didn't even understand what was actually going on at that time. You mean, I'm going to challenge, like, the term OEM integration did not exist when this product. I'm not even sure DSP in car audio. You're mentioning it, the DSP. I guarantee you, at the time, that was not considered a DSP.
You're right, 100% right.
So it was a little bit ahead of its time. Now, when you explain it, even somebody like me, who's not an advanced installer, totally understand what that device does. 100%, I get it.
But when
back
we came
then,
out with it, was nobody got it.
Nobody understood. Nobody understood, and I think that was also the time. Yeah, no, it was at that time where it went from having a single DIN or a double DIN space in the dash to no longer having a DIN, and it was a circuit board behind your heating controls.
Right. And you had nothing. You could do nothing to integrate at all.
Exactly.
So OEM integration, we may not have called it that. We had dash kits and wire harnesses. So we integrated a new radio into the dash. That was integration, right?
Exactly.
But when they took that away from us, when they made it where that wasn't possible, we needed a solution for high quality audio, and we engineered a solution. Granted, it wasn't the best solution ever in the world, but at the time, it was the only solution ever in the world.
It was a stepping stone to where we arrive now. So let's go to that.
And, going forward in history a little bit, we have a line of products like, a line level converter, as well as our fix, which is an advanced version of what we had originally done. So we're still committed to the category 100%. We know that there are other options out there, and we're fine with all of them. Ultimately, again, topic of our conversation today is audiophile, and we want audiophile. However you need to get there. If you use a fix or whatever, great. If you have a product from a competitor that does a really good job for you and gets you the signal that you need, great, use it. We just want you to get great sound, and of course, we make some subs, amp speakers, and things like that that'll help you get there. But we're about experiencing great audio at any level. So,
all right. Towards the last part of this conversation, I did want to pick your brain a little bit from a product perspective thing, because I think what I'm getting a sense of is, JL Audio's history mixed with the engineering, and I think you've said it before, the holistic approach to high-end, high-quality sound is very apparent with JL Audio. So we're talking about, 4 suites of product, right? Now we have DSP, and a lot of that DSP is integrated into your top-of-the-line VXI amplifier line. Of course, you have a full-range speaker system components that go all the way up to C7s. And you also have, I'm just going to call it like this. You guys are kind of known for your subs. Let's be honest. Yeah, that remains, a go-to. I see it. I see a lot of high-end competition or just high-end sound systems in general. I'm not saying that, some people like to mix brands, right? So on and so forth. But something that I do notice a lot is a JL is very popular when it comes to the low-end frequencies, for sure. I see it. Now, having said that, I want to give you a quick break because we've been going for a little bit, but I do have a video. And this is an interesting video. I want to start with this, and let's talk about the high range frequencies, which is the speakers. This was a unique video that was shot during the launch of the C7s. It's a short video, but that's what we're going to start with, and we're going to play that video first. Let me just double check that we have that queued. So it's actually the second video. I'm going to switch things up a little bit so our director knows. We're going to play the second video, which is called C7, and then we're going to come back and ask you some questions about this.
Sure.
Whenever you're ready. All right, let's do it. Good to go? My name is Dwayne Spanbrook. I'm in charge of engineering, loudspeaker engineering at JL Audio. I've been working there since 1994. Where do I start? We've been working on this for a really long time, and it's a passion of ours. High-end car audio has always been a passion. This project has been going on for a solid 3 years. We have put everything that we know into this project, all of our best engineering, our best design tools, everything that we could throw at it, and we ended up with what I think is some of the best sounding speakers in the business.
dynamic. It's realism at its best.
Grandioso. Para las personas que nos gusta el audio, está grandioso.
I didn't hear the speaker at all. I heard the music, and that's an important thing to me. That's the most important thing, I think.
Like I said, it's been rave reviews. The reason the reviews have been, so fantastic is because the product really is exceptional. It's designed from the ground up. Every single part in these drivers, we started from scratch. We rethought everything. We thought about the best approaches, the best ways to test it, the best ways to simulate it. We had to tool up every single part in the drivers. And instead of leaving it at that, once the parts were tooled up, if we weren't 100% happy with it, we retooled it again, over and over and over again, until everything was perfect. And that's what it takes to get the speakers right. What we're talking about here is a 6.5-inch component woofer, a 3.5-inch component mid-range driver, and a 25mm tweeter. What's also unique is that, unlike most of our competitors, the component woofer and the component mid are being produced at JL Audio in our Miramar facility right here in the USA.
Boy, that brings you back, huh?
Well, I'll tell you, I remember when those launched, and it was to a lot of acclaim. And the C7s remain the, I guess, the apex offering within the high-range loudspeaker offering from JL Audio. Now, I can't help but notice you brought in a new demonstration piece, I should say.
I did. These are the speakers that we actually launched that were visible in the video that Dwayne just focused on. And when we had these on display, obviously we couldn't easily bring a car into the suite, although we did try. Get people in and out would be very difficult. So we actually had to set up, and there was an image of it, of an XD amplifier with a tweak. It's before the VXI was done, and now you know why the VXI came to be, right? It merges those kind of together. But we use our Fathom home audio subwoofers, which of course feature the W7 in it, like you would see in a car. And then we had these, and everyone thought we were coming out with high-end home speakers. And then when we told them, no, these are for the car, they were like, for a car? You did all of that for a car? It's like, yeah, high-end performance on that level. And when there was a person from one of the home audio magazines that sat down, and he was getting ready to write it up in a home audio magazine as JL Audio's new home audio offering. And we had to tell him, no, it's for a car. He's like, I can't put that in a home audio magazine. It's like, no, we're okay with it. But yeah, so the history of the C7 is just that. We wanted to get the highest level of performance that we could in a car. And again, engineering to the rescue. And we talked earlier about the machine shop, and when he's talking about tooling, you don't go to tooling until you're pretty sure that you have the right parts. So the machine shop helped us make those prototypes to get that machining done. And again, kind of to his point when he was talking about, you keep going until you get it right. And 3+ years of developing this product, we got it right.
So those drivers, he said, the 3 and the 6 are actually made in Florida.
Yeah, these two are made here. There's we had special. It's a type of manufacture called cell manufacturing, where they make the mid-range driver, and it's a single operator with a little carousel and all the parts that come to them, and they focus on it. So each one is it's effectively handmade with the only robotics are for adhesive suspension. So
just to have an even dispenser of the adhesive glue or whatever. Yep. Okay.
That's amazing. So you can get it right. So
that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. And this remains the flagship piece in high frequency.
And much like the W7, it set a standard, right? And the W7 to this day still has a target on its back for being the highest.
There's no question about it.
There's no question. In fact, car audio people got spoiled early. They were the first ones to gain access to it. But what they didn't realize was that driver was also intended to be used in our eventual high-end home audio subwoofer, where we continue to set standards in another category. So we were mobile audio, and we cracked into the home audio using C7 to push that.
Yeah. So for our car audio listeners that may not be aware or in tune with what's going on at home, JL Audio has an entire line of audiophile grade powered active subwoofers. Okay. A lot of the same drivers that we're used to seeing in car audio, they, like what Steve's saying, they reuse, and the amplification technology as well. What I want to get to is these are regarded as the utmost, most musical, most highest end subwoofers you can get. And these guys match JL subs for home with outlandish 2-channel speakers. Yeah. I'm talking about like the 15, 20, 30, 40,000 kind of
Fantastic
speakers.
product. Yep.
Yeah, that's what they're matching with. I just wanted a segue just in case people weren't aware of that.
And you know, to speak a little bit further into that, in the mobile audio world, from day one when I got into Speaker Warehouse, one of the first things I learned about was something called an electronic crossover. I had never heard of this before. It was like mind-boggling, and it made sense. It's like filter out the high frequencies from the lows and the low frequencies from the highs and let the drivers do their job. Brilliant. Home audio doesn't do that often, or certainly didn't back then. So when we got into the business, we of course had a low pass filter, but integration into stereo systems or 2-channel systems remains, even to this day, a bit problematic. People struggle with understanding what's really going on with it. Engineering to the rescue. This is an earlier one-off of something called the CR1.
Let's full screen that, please. There we go.
And this is a 2-channel subwoofer crossover for home audio applications. The real one is actually silver, but I couldn't find a silver one. But this allows us to adjust, of all things, for mobile audio people, this seems pretty normal, high and low pass filter frequencies. It also has a control for damping, and that's kind of the ringing effect that may happen around a filter frequency, that we can control that with this product here. And is one of my favorite features on it. I can't see it from my angle, but it's a button on here. It's a defeat button.
Oh, you like that defeat button, don't you? I know you like it.
It did something special, Ben. It kind of showed the point. And you know, we would often say you're referencing, you know, we would couple this with $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 main speakers, and people spend that kind of money on speakers. They don't need a sub. This does everything. Look at the specs. Hang on a second. So what we did was we'd implement a Fathom home subwoofer or an E-sub or a Dominion, and we'd use a CR1 crossover. And what we do is we dial the whole thing in, make it sound really good, and then we hit the defeat button. And the defeat button didn't just turn off the subwoofer, it bypassed everything. And the full range signal went to the main speakers without the sub playing at all.
So now you know you're taking away all that goodness, all that low end goodness.
Dynamic capability, that freedom from stress that the subwoofer alleviated from the main speakers is now put back in. So sure, it sounded okay.
Some of these high-end speakers got like a 10-incher on the bottom of them.
Yeah. And on their own, if you just listen to it at a moderate level, they sound fine. No problem at all. But until you hear it with a sub, a properly integrated sub, totally it's not even a comparison. Engineering, we had to solve that problem and show people. And that, you know, when we talk to our retailers, we say, look, get one of these things. You may never sell it, but you'll sell a lot more subwoofers because people will appreciate the benefit.
So 2 things. Number 1, that is a monstrosity of a chassis to do what that thing does. Just, you know what I mean? Like, that's huge to do what it does. And number 2, if Manville or Bride are listening, you need a t-shirt. Steve just said it. JL Audio, engineering to the rescue.
There you go.
Okay.
I want credit on that one.
No, so let's dive a little bit deeper. Let's talk about the subs, because although it seems obvious, I want to remind our listeners, like if you have a customer that is looking for the ultimate when it comes to subwoofers, JL Audio needs to be part of that conversation.
Yeah, we think so as well. And when the W7 hit the market, a lot of people saw a big surround on it and really high excursion numbers, and they said, "Oh, it's an SPL speaker."
Yeah, because it looks like it does. Looks like a SPL sub.
Right, and I get it, you know, because the old mantra is there ain't no replacement for displacement. A big piston that can move far can play loud.
X-Max, all about the X-Max. All about the X-Max. Right. Yeah.
The design of the W7 was not intended as an SPL speaker. It was intended to play the lowest frequencies as loud as possible, which requires high excursion capability, bigger piston, right? And that's really where the W7 design came in. It's, you know, let's make the large piston that can move far so that as you went lower in frequency, or from your point of view, lower in frequency, it maintained that output to the lowest possible point. And of course, the bigger ones, like a 13W7, can do it even better. We have more chassis to work with, so we can have more excursion and a bigger piston, and we can play lower frequencies louder with that one. So if you're all about just hitting, 60 or 80 hertz with a button, yeah, the W7 can do that, but what's the point of that? Yes, you can get loud, and sure, maybe something's louder out there, but when it comes to linearity to the lowest frequencies, there's a reason why it's chosen for, the god of the subwoofers is what the Gotham was referred to as, and it uses a variation of that 13W7. So, and that brings us a lot of pride. And I know we've been talking about it, but it's been 20 years, and there's nothing that really compares to it.
Has the W7 been out for 20 years?
Just over, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And what's funny for us inside, there was 7 or 8 years ahead of it for design work. So we've known about this thing for almost my entire career.
Has there ever been a conversation come up at a meeting saying, so are we doing a V2, guys? And are we?
every single meeting we talk about it. And for the longest time, and this sounds a little cocky, and I apologize if it comes off this way, but it's just, our passion and our commitment to this. Hopefully that's what comes through. But the question has always been, what would you change? And we struggle with that. There's a couple of things here and there that, okay, we could probably do this a little bit better now, or these materials now maybe can offer us a benefit. But in terms of that groundbreaking performance, it's really hard to find something that's like, well, we'll make this green instead of black, or, I mean, is it really worth it to call it a V2 if we can't make a significant
improvement in its performance?
And again, I don't mean it to sound cocky. We obviously
you don't have to, because your competition on many occasions has called out the W7 on many times. It's just one of those reference deals, right? So my curiosity is, how can you make it better? Has there been discussion to make it better? And can you make it better enough that it would be worthy of a 2.0 badge?
That's exactly. It's almost like you're in the product meetings that we have. That when we talk about,
we do have our CMA cams hidden everywhere that you guys don't sign off on.
That's what it is.
Yeah, just All right. And unless there was anything else you wanted to add to the W7 conversation,
not so much on the W7, but again, going back to engineering and subwoofers, right? There's obviously a problem with the W7 like product. It doesn't exactly fit under your seat very easily. Right, so when it comes to remove the seat, right?
I don't care if it doesn't fit. That you don't buy a W7 because you're worried about space. I'm sorry, you don't. You buy a W7 because you need and want that to round out your system, right? Whether it's a full JL system or otherwise. I'm just saying, if you're caring about space, this is not the product for you. Let's just be honest.
Agreed.
It's not
but going to the audiophile definition, it's for me, it's people that just really enjoy the best music that they can, and what lengths will they go to experience
what lengths
it?
Will they
by
go?
Paying for it or going to some venue to experience it? That's an audiophile, someone that loves the experience of audio, right?
Exactly. That the uncompromising part is subjective.
Yes.
It depends on your situation. If you're building a whip just for you, you don't care about anybody else. Right? Then load it up. Do what you got to do, bro. You need a 3-way on your dash, and you're gonna get a top fab guy to build it. Make it happen. Yep. You know what I mean? Or if you have a lease and you can't cut up the car, okay, so get a W10, put it in a box, and you can remove. It still will sound the same as encased. It's all about the volume and the design spec of the box. But anyhow, I just wanted to take our last moment here. The thing that kind of brings it all together, obviously, the amplifiers. And if you look right now, the top of the line amplifier offering from JL is VXI. And isn't it interesting that the top of the line offering from JL in the amplifier category includes DSP?
Yes.
So before I'm going to let you talk about it, I have a video. Let's set you up. Let's play this video about VXI amplifiers. We'll come back. We'll close the app, and then we'll close out the show. So let's go ahead and play that video. VXI.
Got
it. Music is a powerful force. It can turn a morning commute into an inspirational wake-up call, and a road trip into an unforgettable journey. It provides the backdrop for epic moments and makes every mile more enjoyable. At JL Audio, our love of the musical experience drives us to pursue great audio. It's not just about being loud. It's about dynamic accuracy, intricate detail, and a complete immersion in the spectrum and texture of the music and the space it inhabits. Introducing JL Audio's latest endeavor in our pursuit of great audio. A complete family of car amplifiers that combine powerful digital audio technology with exceptionally clean power, all controlled from an intuitive interface. It's our most ambitious and sophisticated project ever. VXI from JL Audio. Great audio simplified.
I like that video.
Now that we've set that up, tell us. Let's expand on the VXI conversation.
Sure. So you mentioned the word earlier, the holistic approach. Obviously, as a company, we start with the DSP on the front end. If you need integration, we have that. you've spoken about our C7 products and our W7s and everything that goes in between all of those things. And we showed in the C7 video the XD amplifiers and now the XDV2, right? And then our Tweak DSP processor, which is kind of a spin-off of our Fix. The Fix and Tweak were they're cousins, basically, right? And we had always thought that it would make a lot of sense to integrate those together. And what we had seen from a lot of our competitors were an integration piece that was also amplified. So it was very, basic amplification, nothing really powerful. So when we did VXI, again, it's going back a couple of years, when we did VXI, I think it was one of the more powerful DSP-based amplifiers in terms of sheer watts, how many watts of power were coming out of these form factors. And the DSP itself was on another level from what we had done with Tweak. It added some additional features. And obviously that's where the whole idea of VXI came to be. The fit and finish of it had to be impeccable. The mechanical design is beautiful. It fits under seats. It fits in tight areas. It scratches virtually every single itch. And for me, it was a weird product, believe it or not. Because of course, you take a look at something like this and it's so pretty. It has shiny parts and it's got all the cool bits and pieces on the inside. And as a tech guy, I love this. But as a trainer, it was a challenging product for me because as cool as this looks and as beautiful as it is, this is not what you experience. Your experience is actually on somebody else's product, your PC or your Mac, because the software is what makes this product so special because of the DSP, the control that you have in here. Which, I know that we want to focus on what the DSP amplifiers are all about, but I'm going to shift it on you a bit, Ben. I'm going to tell you that as important as this is and this holistic approach, there is nobody else that's done what we've done in terms of actually capturing audio and determining what's going on with it, how to use that DSP tool, the one that's in the MVI or the VXI, the Tweak, those are tools. How do you use those tools effectively? Obviously, we made the max measurement system as a way of capturing audio, taking those measurements, and dialing in any system to the highest level using whatever tool you choose to use. We hope that you use our tools, but the max measurement system, never before in mobile or marine audio have you ever seen a measurement system that's so brand agnostic. You don't need a JL Audio product to use it.
I need to interject here just to justify what you're saying. So obviously, I kind of talk to a couple people in the industry on a daily.
I imagine.
Yeah. Every brand that I can think of that you would consider your competition has already referenced the Max 2.
Oh, wow, did they really?
Yes, measurement system as an optimal choice to get the right information from your signal.
So that's awesome to hear. And that to me shows the true audiophile nature of our industry, that they can acknowledge, look, it cost a ton of money for us to develop this, and the insanity that went into all of that. Hopefully it becomes apparent when you use it. And it's really nice that our competitors have acknowledged the work that we've done.
I want to say, it's kind of like this for those that are listening in and quite trying to, understand this politics that we're kind of glimpsing over. JL Audio has come up with an amazing ruler.
Yes.
All right. Everybody has different saws and drills and everything else, but the ruler, that's what that yellow box
is. It, yeah. And for us, Audiophile is not just, throughout our whole conversation, you didn't hear me talk about like a specific cone material or a DSP chip or any of the individual parts, because all of them are important. There is no one element more important than the next. It's not that the sub is more important than the mains or, the amp is more important than the sub. It's all of it. And we firmly believe that, and we choose the parts that are necessary to give the performance that we want our customers to experience. And now we have a tool that allows them to measure and make those adjustments to get as much out of a system as possible.
Optimization at its best.
Optimization. And the last thing before we go, and I think we're all running short on time because I have a tendency to ramble.
This has been amazing. So engaging.
When it comes down to audiophile grade and performance, obviously, product makes a big difference. If you have crappy product and it's installed poorly and not tuned well, you'll get a bad experience. But choosing the right components, doing a proper installation, and tuning it correctly is where the real magic comes in. And all of that requires something that's not a product anymore. And it's what I think really is where JL Audio rises very much to the top. And it's the guys on the other side of my wall, our tech support team, our customer service team, and hopefully our training department, being able to find out the best things to do with a particular piece of gear, even if it's not ours. Our guys are really into this stuff. They really focus on making sure that we can get everyone's system to sound great. Because we kind of see it as, I've heard Dave say this before, when the tide comes in, all boats rise, right? So when people are excited about audio, like you and I were when we got involved, we're really into it. It's like, how can I find money to buy this stuff because it's just so cool? When a lot of people share that passion, everyone gets better. You know, all of our competitors will develop better product if there's a strong market for it. So we want that. So we want people to experience the best they possibly can so they could say, you know what, it's worth everything I spent and more. It was worth driving to that shop across town because they have a great demonstration. That's it. That's the fun. You know, the 3 W6s that you saw, you said, wow, those things are, you know, great or whatever. That we need to spark that. And I think our tech guys do a really good job of helping get that type of experience for people, because our definition of audiophile grade is, you know, people that really want to experience music the way it's supposed to be, whatever that is. Brands, you know, of course, we think we make really good stuff, and hopefully everyone else does too. But just let's get the best out of it as much as we possibly can. Let our guys help you out, and, you know, let's go, baby.
So me being as neutral as I possibly can with the role that I play with CMA Networks, here's what I'm going to say is our takeaway statement, Stephen, and feel free to correct or add or comment on what I'm about to say here. JL Audio, with a blend of the incredible history and pedigree you have, again, stemming from the competition lanes, into its involvement, its evolution, have the right team members come on who are still on. That's an amazing story in itself. All the way up to adapting to the ever-changing environment, whether it be the signal or other technologies that have come into play. At the end of the day, you've come up with a product offering, a suite that truly encompasses more than any other brand that I can think of. When I say that, here's what I mean by that. I'm going to be very specific. We're talking speakers, high frequency. We're talking subwoofers, amplification, DSP, OEM integration, and signal measurement. That last one right there is an incredible offering that is so complete, concise, and meant to work with one another. Now, one more layer to add to that is the domestic manufacturing. Mm-hmm. And that's what you need to think about as a dealer when you're taking on a brand like this and offering it to your customer.
Thank you. I don't think I could have said it any better. Certainly not any shorter.
I mean, there's no short way to say it, but that's the takeaway from this show. And on that note, listen, guys, I don't know why I'm telling you this, because I think everybody who's ever listening to this can find this information on their own, but I'm going to do it because it's my job. If you want to find out more about JL Audio products, head on over to their website, jlaudio.com. If you're in car audio, you've probably already visited this site at some time in your audiophile or in your car audio career. And if you're a Canadian distributor or retailer, rather, it's no secret, Gemsen is the official distributor for all things J Audio in Canada. So if you're north of the border, get a hold of the folks at Gemsen. Steve, I can't say enough how incredibly interesting this dialogue, this session has been. I know we have plenty of opportunity to, you know, geek out on new product and talk specs and all that stuff, but I think this is one that's going to get a lot of viewership because it's interesting.
I hope so. If we could spark some passion out there, let's get it going, right?
And yeah, absolutely. And of course, anything new that's coming down the pipe, you know, whenever, you just give us a ring and we'll make sure we cover it here on CMA.
Sorry, the internet must have dropped there.
Thank you so much, Steve.
No problem, Ben. Thanks for having me. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Bye-bye. All right. We're going to keep it rolling here on CMA Networks on this theme called Audiophile, because it's the Audiophile sessions all month long. And it's literally one brand a day. All the top brands you can think of, we're going to cover them for you so you can get a deep understanding of what's going on in the high-end market when it comes to car audio. Now, while you're there on our website, make sure you're signing up for this amazing contest called the Ultimate Fab Experience Giveaway. We're giving away 2 all-inclusive trips to Master Tech Expo in 2023, a winner from Canada and the winner from the US. So easy to sign up. CMAnetworks.com/giveaway. Click on that, get to that URL, and just sign up, and you could win an all-inclusive trip. And while you're on CMA Networks, of course, check out my man Steve Turrisi's profile. Every video that we've ever done with him and with JL Audio and with Gemsen, for that matter, can be found on CMAnetworks.com. It's where the 12-volt industry connects. Thanks for keeping it locked here on CMA Networks with this session of Connected, presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.
I mean, yeah. This time around,
Stop
you know
it.
what today's the day where I'm gonna go
Yo.
topless.
Roll it down.
I am.
You don't need a car to listen to Sirius XM. You can listen anywhere. You know that, right?
What? Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio.
Kevin, you could use your phone.
What? What?
Alexa, play Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio on Sirius XM.
What?
This is how I know you're getting old. I guess that was it.
What?